turns out that the war on Iran, well, it's been pretty great for China. But, that's not what you're going to hear from some of these ridiculous pro-war morons who say otherwise. They claim, no. The Strait of Hormuz being blocked, that's a good thing. It's destroying China. Is it? Now you might be wondering, what kind of moron is making that point? This guy.
With regard to the Straits of Hormuz, that's a strategic choke point relative to the bigger chess game, which is China-US. President Trump is on his way to speak with Xi when the oil that typically China gets from the Gulf is not coming there. 50% of the oil that goes to China comes from the Gulf. So I think that we're comfortable as Americans with that particular leverage points that we have over China.
That was former IDF Special Forces Commander Doron Kempel claiming that the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is actually fantastic. It's really, really hurting China. Sure, buddy, sure. And we've heard this talking point from members of the Trump administration, just any effort to put lipstick on a pig. The Iran war is incredibly unpopular with the American people and continues to become more and more unpopular because of the economic ramifications of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. And by the way, just a side note, as you can see, I was on that panel when Doron made that point. And I want someone to give me props. For once, give me props for doing what everyone keeps demanding that I do, which is don't interrupt, don't jump down people's throats, keep your tone nice and polite and friendly. Now, in that moment, I did. Later in this debate, I did not. I did direct my ire toward Emily Schrader because she is a disgrace. But anyway, getting back to China, today, the Washington Post published a pretty important story that Americans need to be aware of. It's an exclusive titled, China Gains Major Edge on US Amid Iran War. Intelligence report finds a confidential assessment circulating as President Donald Trump begins his highly anticipated trip to Beijing shows shifts in several key areas of competition. And the thing that we hear about quite a bit when it comes to China is we got to compete, we got to compete, we got to win, we got to win, we got to compete, we got to win the AI race. We ain't winning. And this war has put us in a worse position when it comes to competing with a rising superpower. So the story covers a US intelligence report that was prepared for Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Kane. Okay, so it raised alarm within the Pentagon because of the fact that the facts are the facts. And I think we can all see how this war is putting the United States at a disadvantage. Produced by the Joint Chiefs Intelligence Directorate, the report uses what's known as DIME framework to assess China's response to the Iran conflict via 4 instruments of state power: diplomatic, informational, military, and economic. So here's what they found, or what was reported in that intelligence report. Since the war began, China has actually managed to sell weapons to US allies, namely in the Persian Gulf. So these are countries who have invested significantly in US weaponry. They have hosted US military bases under the assumption that the United States would provide a security umbrella to the Gulf region. But we had depleted our missile interceptors. So once Iran started attacking the Gulf countries in retaliation for the United States attacking Iran, well, the US couldn't really do much about it, could they? We couldn't use the remaining missile interceptors on them when we wanted to use them to protect Israel. And so as a result, our Gulf allies turned to China and purchased weaponry from China in an effort to defend themselves. Now, China has also flexed its soft power, and that's honestly the area where I think China excels. Rather than using warfare, they lean into soft power, not because they're altruistic, not because they're, philanthropic or they're really looking out for the world. No, I mean, they see this as an opportunity to, become a trusted, rising superpower that countries can trust far more than the United States. That's the point that they're trying to make here. So they flex their soft power by helping countries with their energy needs. And by the way, here's another benefit to China. China has surpassed, I mean, they've always been number one, honestly, when it comes to green energy, when it comes to the solar panels, things like that. And so what China has done is it has been reaching out to countries that are energy insecure as a result of this war to let them know, hey, we can help you out. We can help you with the energy needs by providing certain elements necessary for the production of renewable energy. So Trump thinks that this war is harming China. I don't know if he genuinely believes that or if that's just the lie he thinks that we're stupid enough to believe, but nonetheless, he says this because they get some of their energy, some of their oil through the Strait of Hormuz. But as Ryan Haas at the Brookings Institution points out, China is the second most insulated country in the world to the energy crisis, only after the United States. China is presenting itself as a solutions provider in providing access to jet fuel and other products that are in short supply as a bridge for the short term. So not only is this war failing to do what supporters of the Iran war keep claiming, it's crushing China, it's actually doing the exact opposite. And by the way, this was already predicted in the very beginning of the war. So Beijing has reached out to Thailand, Australia, the Philippines, and is offering access to Chinese-produced green energy technology. And they are selling it as a long-term solution to energy insecurity.
Do you know your brain rot index? No, of course you don't. I didn't either because I didn't know what it was, but turns out you might want to, especially after hearing this. Did you know that the average American checks their phone over 200 times a day? That's about 5 hours of screen time a day on just your phone. Unfortunately, that means your brain is rotting. A little bit, but have no fear. I switched over to Noble Mobile, downloaded their Noble Mobile Life app, and was able to track my own brain rot index. It's 0. No, I'm just kidding. My number was not great, but now that I'm on Noble Mobile, getting way better. It tracks how much you use your phone, how often you pick it up, and even shows you how to save money on your phone bill by using it less. New members can even earn up to $100 cash back for keeping their brain rot index under 100, which means you are very unrotten. Okay, so you unlock all that when you join. So download the Noble Mobile Life app today, track your own brain rot index, and learn how you can save money and spend more time doing things that actually bring you joy instead of doom scrolling on social media. Check it out by heading to tyt.com/switch or by downloading the Noble Mobile app. By the way, don't tell Andrew, but if you're on Wi-Fi, you also don't use your data, so you're gonna get money back anyway. tyt.com/switch.
And the report also went into how this war has already drained a massive amount of our munitions. We don't have to get too detailed about that since we've covered that on the show on multiple occasions. But aside from our defensive capability being diminished as a result of us putting our nose into all sorts of foreign conflicts, including providing military aid, endless military aid to Israel, military aid to Ukraine. I'm sure it took some weaponry and some bombs in order to strike fishing boats in the Caribbean. All of that puts you at a disadvantage when you start a brand new war with a country like Iran. And so they warned about that in the intelligence report. And on top of that, the Iran conflict, which has resulted in the damage or destruction of US military hardware and facilities throughout the Middle East, has allowed Beijing to observe how the US fights wars and learn how to plan its own future operations. China has long sought to undermine, they write, the image of the US as a responsible steward of the rules-based international order, and it views the Iran conflict as emblematic of Washington's cavalier approach to military hostilities. I mean, but where's the lie? And I say this as someone who desperately wants my country to be perceived favorably internationally. But that's just not going to happen when you get involved in foreign wars, when you carry out coups, you orchestrate coups of democratically elected leaders, when you aid and abet Israel's expansionist project, the Greater Israel Project, which leads to all sorts of crises, right? We have crises when it comes to refugees fleeing, looking for safety. They go into other countries, and those other countries get really frustrated about it. But what are they going to do? It's the United States. It's a military superpower. So we're just going to shut our mouths and, bend to their will. But it's getting to a point where the international community, I think, has had enough. Because remember, this war against Iran, and it's still ongoing. Sure, there's a ceasefire right now, but the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Trump has still decided to implement his blockade of the strait. And the idea that this is doing us any favors is laughable. And there's still no indication that the regime in Iran is anywhere near collapse. So the Pentagon's chief spokesperson, Sean Parnell, basically dismissed the intelligence report, which isn't surprising to me whatsoever, because of course he did. Of course he did. That's all you get from this administration. Hey, here are some receipts. We are worried about what this means for America, both economically and in terms of their national security. So what do you have to say about this intelligence report? And he basically dismisses it. Let me give you his exact statement. Assertions claiming that the global balance of power have shifted towards any nation other than the United States of America are fundamentally false. Is that it? Is that all you have to say about this, really? It's a I know you are, but what am I type response. There's no substance there. You're just declaring something without refuting any of the arguments being made in this intelligence report. I'd be shocked if he even read it. He doesn't care. Even more delusional was what White House spokesperson or spokeswoman Olivia Wales had to say. She claimed that the US decimated the Iranian regime's military capabilities in 38 short days and is now strangling what's left of their economy with one of the most successful naval blockades in history. Whatever helps you sleep at night, homegirl. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Despite the now multiple reports, independent reports showing that Iran has still managed to access 30 out of the 33 missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz. They still have 70% of their missiles intact. What about us? Where are we at? You do a comparative analysis and we've depleted our weapons. Whereas Iran, they weren't getting mixed up in a bunch of wars over the last several decades. They've got a nice stockpile. So they can go ahead and lie to us as much as they want. But the truth is that we have already lost this war and we keep losing every single day because every single day the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, gas prices go up, energy prices go up. That in turn means the cost of goods and services goes up. So how is this beneficial for the American people in any way whatsoever? But all right. And while China claims that it wants to help, de-escalate this war and work toward peace, apparently Trump rejected the idea. Take a look.
President Trump continues to say he's under no pressure to make a deal and hasn't given Iran a deadline. But one former US diplomat sees it like this.
The president has been very patient with the Iranians. The Iranians don't see that as patience. They see it as weakness.
And weakness is the exact opposite of what President Trump wants to show China's Xi Jinping this week. As a top buyer of Iranian oil, Xi could help mediate a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But Trump says he's also ready to go it alone.
No, I don't think we need any help with Iran. We'll win it one way or the other.
We'll win it one way or the other. Right, okay. Well, despite Trump's tough talk in the United States, what was really fascinating today was hearing what he had to say about China and its leader during this China summit. So let's take a quick look at that.
We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you and you would call me. And whenever we had a problem, people don't know. Whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth.
He only says the truth, right? He doesn't need China's help in reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Well, to be fair, China doesn't really need to do much to open the Strait of Hormuz for their own purposes, because as Trita Parsi reported today, let's take a look at his post on X. Just before Trump met with President Xi, Iranian news services reported that Chinese ships had begun transiting the Strait of Hormuz under the Iranian mechanism. While Beijing rejects a toll, it has been open to paying an administrative fee for the environmental upkeep of the strait, which is just another way to frame the toll. The agreement neutralizes American pressure on China to side with the US to open the strait, since the waterway is open to China. In fact, it reverses the pressure. If the US stops these ships from transiting as part of the American blockade, Trump will be picking a losing fight with Xi while in Beijing. Instead of Trump pressuring China to help open the strait, China will pressure the US to make sure the strait isn't blocked for Chinese ships. This is yet another way in which Trump's adoption of FDDs, that's an Israeli lobby, proposal for a blockade of the blockade is backfiring on the United States. He's kind of like a smart person, as Trump likes to say about himself. Embarrassing man. But what are Trump's number one priorities? What does he care about more than anything in the world other than pleasuring the Israelis? Well, he loves making business deals on behalf of incredibly greedy corporate executives. So this summit isn't about diplomacy. This summit isn't about how the United States and China can work together to improve the lives of Americans, by the way, right? That's what his number one priority should be. But no, of course not. That's not his priority. His priority is to bring a gaggle of corporate executives to China with him so they can figure out ways to make business deals and profit themselves. Let me give you an example. So this was a list put together by Bloomberg. CEOs joined Trump's trip to China. It lists all of the CEOs involved. You have of course, the CEO of NVIDIA. You have Elon Musk there for Tesla Inc., Tim Cook for Apple, Larry Fink for BlackRock, Steve Schwartzman for Blackstone, Kelly Ortberg for Boeing. I mean, the list goes on and on. So just a murderer's row of people who have raped and pillaged this country of its wealth, and or companies that are looking to do away with American workers so they can further maximize their profits, because it's never enough. Finally, it's worth noting that Trump, brought this group, and apparently he is eager to secure business deals from China in sectors ranging from agriculture and energy to aerospace, including a potential historic order of Boeing jets. This guy gets so H for selling Boeing jets. Like, nothing gets him more excited than selling military weaponry to foreign countries. The US business delegation not only includes companies with significant investments and market share in China, but also firms like Micron Technology Inc., which saw some of its products banned from critical infrastructure by Beijing after failing a cybersecurity review. How nice is that? China has cybersecurity reviews before making deals with foreign countries or foreign companies. Isn't that nice? Wouldn't it be great if we had that? But no, we have a close relationship, a nice little alliance with a country that has taken advantage of us and literally kills people with beeper bombs. I don't want them having anything to do with my cell phone. But Mike Huckabee, who's the US ambassador to Israel, argues that an end to an alliance with Israel means that we're not going to have access to these cell phones anymore. I don't even know the extent to which Israel is involved in the manufacturing of our iPhones, but I'm not interested in them. And I would rather buy a phone that costs 2 times more, but doesn't have Israel's grubby little hands all over it. Wouldn't want my phone to blow up on me. But anyway, it's infuriating that we don't have a political class that gives a damn about the very people it is supposed to represent. It's disgusting. But what's even worse about this situation is that we have a president who has taken our position on the global stage and just crushed it, squandered it, destroyed it, all because he wants to carry out the best wishes, the well wishes, whatever Israel wants, he's gonna do. And we're paying the price for it. So congratulations, America.
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.